Let's begin by dismantling the single most dangerous myth you have ever been taught about romance. It is a lie that has kept you stuck in toxic cycles, forgiving the unforgivable, and waiting for things to change that never will. It is the myth of unconditional love. From the time you were a little girl, you were likely told that true love conquers all. You were told that if you love someone enough, if you are patient enough, and if your heart is pure enough, it shouldn't matter what they do. Love should survive. You've been taught that conditions are cold, and that setting rules for how you are treated makes you demanding or difficult. I am here to tell you the brutal truth. Unconditional love is for children and pets. It is not for grown men. When you apply the concept of unconditional love to an adult relationship, you are not being romantic. You are being dangerous to your own soul. In the adult world, a healthy relationship must have conditions. Conditions are the framework that holds the relationship together. Think of a house. If a house has no walls, no roof, and no locks on the doors, is it a safe home? No, it is just an open space where anything and anyone can walk in and destroy it. Conditions are the walls. They are the roof. They say, you are welcome here, but only if you treat this space with reverence. When you love unconditionally, you are essentially telling a partner, you can lie to me, you can ignore me, you can prioritize me last, and I will still be here. And human psychology is very simple. We do not value what we do not have to earn. If your love is free, if it is given regardless of his behavior, it loses its value. You need to reframe this immediately. Having conditions doesn't mean you are transactional. It means you have self-respect. It means you are saying, I have a lot of love to give, but access to that love requires a standard of behavior. If you are afraid that setting a condition will make him leave, you must accept the reality he was never really yours to begin with. He was just using the open door. Real love isn't scared of standards, it rises to meet them. The difference between attachment and connection, now that we have established that standards are necessary, we need to look at why you struggle to set them. Usually, it is because of a feeling you mistake for love. This brings us to the second brutal truth. What you think is passion is often just anxiety. We have felt it. That intense stomach churning, they can't eat, can't sleep feeling when you meet someone new. You check your phone every 3 minutes. You replay every conversation in your head. You feel like you are on a roller coaster. Society calls this the spark. Romantic movies tell us this is what soulmates feel like, but psychologically speaking, that is not a connection. That is attachment activation. When you are with a healthy, stable partner, someone who is consistent, honest, and available, your nervous system relaxes. You feel calm. You might even feel a little bit bored at first because there is no drama to keep your adrenaline spiking. But when you are with someone who is inconsistent, someone who runs hot and cold, who gives you attention one day and vanishes the next, your brain goes into hyperdrive, you become addicted to the cycle of high, low, high, low. When he finally texts you back after hours of silence, you get a rush of dopamine that feels like euphoria. You mistake that relief for love. You need to hear this anxiety is not chemistry. If you feel like you have to win him over, or if you are constantly analyzing his hidden meanings, you are not building a connection. You are acting out a trauma response. True connection is boring in the most beautiful way. It is safe. It is the feeling of coming home, not the feeling of running off a cliff. Many of you are rejecting good men because there is no spark, not realizing that the spark you are chasing is actually a warning sign. You are bypassing safety to chase the high of insecurity. To find real lasting love, you have to detox your system from the need for chaos. You have to learn to trust the quiet. You have to learn that a partner who calls when he says he will and who answers your questions directly is not boring. He is peaceful. And peace is the only soil in which a real relationship can actually grow. Respect precedes affection. This leads us to the final and perhaps most difficult pill to swallow in this chapter. It is the foundation of everything we will discuss for the rest of this hour. You have probably spent years trying to be the perfect woman. You've tried to be funny, sexy, accommodating, smart, and supportive. You have tried to be his best friend and his lover. You have operated under the belief that if you can just get him to like you enough, he will commit to you. But here is the rule of male psychology that no one talks about. A man cannot love a woman he does not respect. You can be the most beautiful, kindest, most giving woman in the world. He can like you very much. He can enjoy your company. He can be physically attracted to you. He can even have deep affection for you. But if he does not respect you, he will never build a future with you. And here is the catch. You cannot earn respect by being nice. In fact, being overly nice, being the woman who always says yes, who cancels her plans for him, who tolerates his flackiness because she wants to be chill, actually kills respect. Why? Because it signals that you do not value your own time or your own worth. And if you do not value yourself, why should he? Respect is earned when you say no. Respect is earned when you say that doesn't work for me. Respect is earned when you walk away from a situation that isn't meeting your needs. Breaking, when you tolerate low effort behavior, you are not being a cool girlfriend. You are teaching him that you are a low investment option. You are training him to give you the bare minimum. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Are they the ones who let you walk all over them? Or are they the ones who have strong boundaries and hold you to a higher standard? If you are currently in a situation where you feel loved but not heard, or desired but not prioritized, it is because respect is missing. And you cannot get it back by doing more for him. You can only get it back by doing less. You must prioritize your dignity over your desire to be liked. Because at the end of the day, his like is temporary. His respect is the only thing that can sustain a lifetime of love. So as we move into the next chapter, I want you to ask yourself, am I trying to be liked or am I commanding respect? The answer to that question will determine your entire future. Why he pulled away, the physics of space, if chapter 1 was the foundation. Chapter 2 is the diagnosis. We are going to address the single most painful question I get asked by women every single day. It is the question that keeps you awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying every interaction in your mind. Everything was perfect. We were so close. And then, out of nowhere, he pulled away. Why? You feel panic. You feel abandoned. Your instinct tells you that something is wrong, so you try to fix it. You reach out. You ask, are we okay? You try to get closer to bridge the gap. But here is the brutal truth regarding the physics of desire. You cannot want something that you already fully possess. Think about the concept of hunger. You only feel the desire to eat when your stomach is empty. If you are stuffed full of food, the most delicious meal in the world looks unappealing to you. You might even feel sick if someone tries to force feed you more. Relationships operate on this same biological principle. For a man to feel desire for you, not just comfort, but actual magnetic longing, there must be a gap. There must be a moment where he reaches for you and you are not immediately there. There must be a space where he wonders what you are doing. When things are going well, women often tend to merge. We want to be with him 24/7. We want to text all day. We want to be fully available because we think availability equals love. But to him, this saturation creates a feeling of being full. He pulls away not because he stopped liking you, but because he needs to create distance in order to feel the urge to come back. He is instinctively creating the room he needs to miss you. The problem is when he pulls back to get that air, you panic. You view his need for space as a rejection. So you chase him into that space. You text him, you call him, you show up, you effectively suffocate the tiny spark of longing he was trying to generate. You have to understand the physics of the rubber band. For a rubber band to have energy, it must be stretched. If you are always standing right next to him, physically and energetically, the band is limp. There is no tension. There is no pull. When he pulls away, he is stretching the band. If you stand still, if you hold your ground and let him pull, the tension will eventually snap him right back to you with force. But if you run after him while he's pulling away, the band stays limp and he will keep running until he can find that tension somewhere else. You became the mother, not the lover now. Let's go deeper. Sometimes he doesn't pull away because he needs space. Sometimes he pulls away because the dynamic has shifted from romantic to maternal. This is a hard truth and it might sting, but we need to look at it closely. Did you stop being his lover and start being his mother? Modern women are incredibly capable. You are used to managing your career, your home, your finances, and your social life. You are a problem solver. So when you get into a relationship, it is natural for you to start managing him too. You remind him of his dentist appointment. You help him fix his resume. You listen to him complain about his boss for 3 hours and give him step-by-step career advice. You organize his closet. You emotionally regulate him when he's stressed. You think you are being a supportive partner. You think, I'm adding value to his life. I'm helping him. But psychologically, you are killing the polarity. There is nothing less sexy to a man than his mother. When you start managing his life, you inadvertently place yourself in a position of authority and caretaking. You are up here and he is down there. This kills his instinct to pursue you because you don't pursue your mother, you rely on her, you take her for granted. If you are doing everything for him, you leave no room for him to do anything for you. You are over-functioning, which forces him to under-function. He stops planning dates because you always plan them. He stops worrying about the future because you worry enough for both of you. He stops trying to impress you because you have already signaled that you accept him as a project that you are willing to work on. And here is the tragedy of this dynamic. You will eventually resent him. You will wake up one day exhausted, wondering why you have to carry the mental load for 2 adults. You will look at him and see a child, not a partner. And he will look at you and see a manager, not a muse. Desire requires mystery. It requires a level of separateness. It requires him to look at you and think, she is a capable, separate woman who I need to win over, not she is the safety net who fixes my life. Stop fixing him. Stop managing him. Let him forget his appointment. Let him fail. Let him handle his own emotions. Return to your role as his partner and let him grow up. The vacuum effect. So we know we need space and we know we need to stop mothering. But how do you actually execute this when every fiber of your being wants to reach out? You need to master a tool I call the vacuum effect. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you dig a hole in the sand at the beach, water immediately rushes in to fill it. If you open a window in a pressurized room, air rushes in. The universe is constantly trying to fill empty space. In relationships, silence is your vacuum. Most women are terrified of silence. If he hasn't texted in 4 hours, you feel the anxiety building. If there is a lull in the conversation, you rush to fill it with a new topic. If you have an argument and he goes quiet, you send 3 paragraphs explaining your feelings to ensure he understands. You are filling the space. And because you are filling it, he never has to. I want you to try something terrifying, do nothing. When you feel that urge to double text, stop, put the phone down. When he gives you a dry, short answer, do not carry the conversation. Let it die. When he pulls away for a few days, do not everything okay. Just go about your life, create a vacuum. When you stop initiating, when you stop fixing the silence, you create a void, a psychological empty space. And because nature apples a vacuum, he will feel a sudden subconscious urge to fill it. He will look at his phone and realize, wait, she hasn't texted me since Tuesday. He will feel the weight of the silence and think, I need to reach out to her. By stepping back, you are not playing a game. You are giving him the gift of his own initiative. You are giving him the opportunity to wonder about you. This is the hardest part of dating because it requires you to sit with your own anxiety without acting on it. It requires you to trust that if you stop rowing the boat, the relationship won't sink. He will just pick up the oars. And if you stop rowing and the boat does sink, if you create a vacuum and he never reaches out to fill it, then you have your answer. And that answer, as brutal as it is better than spending the rest of your life rowing a boat for a passenger who has no interest in helping you navigate the storm. But more often than not, when you finally have the courage to stop pushing, you will be shocked to find that is the exact moment he starts pulling you closer. The mirror principle, you teach people how to treat you. We have spent the last 2 chapters talking about him, why he pulls away, why he loses respect. But now we have to turn the camera around. We have to look at the common denominator in all your painful relationship experiences. That common denominator is you. This is the mirror principle. Your external reality is a direct reflection of your internal boundaries. There is a saying you may have heard, you teach people how to treat you, but I don't think you truly understand the weight of that sentence. Every single time you accept behavior that hurts you, you are signing a contract that says, this is acceptable, please do it again. If he ignores your text for 3 days and then you reply immediately when he finally messages you on Friday night, you have just taught him that ignoring you has no penalty. You have taught him that your time is cheap. If he cancels a date last minute with a flimsy excuse and you say, it's okay, no worries, you have just taught him that your disappointment doesn't matter. You might think you are being forgiving. You might think you are giving him a second chance. But psychologically, you are subsidizing his bad behavior. You are making it cost-free for him to be a mediocre partner. Why would he ever step up and be the man you need him to be? If being the man he currently is gets him everything he wants, if you want to know what you truly believe you deserve, don't look at your vision board. Look at what you tolerate. The brutal truth is that people, men especially, are efficient. They will do exactly as much as is required to keep you and not an ounce more. If the requirement to keep you is 0 effort, then 0 effort is exactly what you will get. You have to stop waiting for him to suddenly realize your worth and start treating you better. He won't. You have to show him your worth by removing access to you when the price isn't met. You have to break the mirror. Insecurity is loud now. You might be thinking, but I don't say it's okay. I get mad. I tell him I'm upset. All right, cool. But here is the thing about human intuition. We don't just listen to words. We feel energy. And right now, your energy might be screaming things your mouth is refusing to say. This is the concept that insecurity is loud. Even if you are sitting in silence, even if you are trying to play the cool girl, if you are filled with anxiety, fear, and jealousy, he can feel it. It radiates off you like a smell. Insecurity has a frantic vibration. It shows up in the way you structure your sentences. It shows up in the way you laugh a little too hard at his jokes. It shows up in the way you ask, who was that? And try to pass it off as casual curiosity, but your eyes are dead serious. It shows up in the constant need for reassurance. When you constantly ask, do you still love me? Or are we okay? Or you're quiet today, what's wrong? You are not building connections. You are asking him to emotionally regulate you. You are using him as a pacifier for your own anxiety. And the brutal truth, it is exhausting. Nothing kills desire faster than the feeling that you are constantly managing someone else's fragile ego. When you are insecure, you become a drain on his energy rather than a source of it. Confidence, on the other hand, is quiet. True confidence doesn't need to check his phone. True confidence doesn't need to ask, are we okay? Every Tuesday, true confidence assumes that, of course, we are okay, because why wouldn't we be? And if we aren't, I will be fine regardless. He can tell the difference. He knows when you are staying silent because you are busy and happy, and he knows when you are staying silent because you are playing a game to try and manipulate a reaction. You cannot fake this. You cannot act high value while internally panicking. You have to actually address the root of the insecurity. You have to become the woman who knows deep in her bones that she is a prize, because until you believe it, he never will. The self-love myth versus reality. So how do we fix this insecurity? The internet will tell you to love yourself, but what does that actually mean? We have turned self-love into a marketing slogan. We think self-love means taking a bubble bath, buying yourself flowers, or looking in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful. So those things are nice. They are self-care, but they are not self-love. Real self-love is not a feeling. It is an action. And usually it is a painful one. Self-love is the act of acting in your own best interest, even when it hurts. Self-love is blocking the number of the man who makes you feel small, even though you miss him so much you can't breathe. Self-love is going to bed early because you need sleep instead of staying up waiting for his text. Self-love is admitting that the situationship you are in is destroying your mental health and choosing to walk away into the unknown rather than stay in the familiar pain. It is discipline. It is parenting yourself. If you had a daughter and she was dating a man who treated her the way you are being treated, what would you tell her? Would you tell her to buy some bath salts and wait it out? Or would you tell her to pack her bags? You are that daughter. You have to protect her. The reason you feel insecure, the reason you feel desperate is because you have abandoned yourself. You have handed the keys to your happiness to a stranger and said, here, you drive, and he is driving recklessly. You have to take the keys back. This is the mirror principle in its final form. The relationship you have with him will never be healthier than the relationship you have with yourself. If you treat yourself like an option, he will treat you like an option. If you treat yourself like a priority by setting boundaries, by walking away from disrespect, by filling your own cup, he will have no choice but to follow your lead, or he will fall away. And if he falls away because you finally stood up for yourself, then he was never standing with you. He was standing on top of you. The fantasy of potential falling in love with a ghost, we've talked about the fact that you teach people how to treat you and how insecurity is loud. Now, let's address one of the most painful illusions that keeps women trapped in relationship. They're going nowhere. The illusion of potential. How many times have you found yourself explaining away a man's bad behavior with phrases like, "Hey's going through a lot right now. Hey's really a good guy. He's just under a lot of pressure. He's just not ready yet, but I know he will be. He's got so much potential. I can see it." If this sounds familiar, then you, my dear, are likely falling in love with a ghost. You are not falling in love with the man in front of you. You are falling in love with the man you hope he will become. This is the brutal truth that nobody wants to admit. You cannot build a relationship on what ifs and maybes. A relationship is built on what is. It is built on the reality of the present moment, not the fantasy of a future possibility. When you focus on his potential, you are ignoring his present actions. You are excusing his disrespect, his inconsistency, his lack of commitment, because you are so busy envisioning the man he could be if only he would finally step up. Think of it like this: you are holding a beautiful, empty picture frame. You know it has the potential to hold a stunning portrait, but right now it's empty, and you are spending all your energy dreaming about the masterpiece that could be, while neglecting the fact that there is nothing in the frame today. This fantasy is a powerful defense mechanism. It allows you to stay in a situation that is hurting you because you are constantly telling yourself, it's not that bad, he'll get better. It is a form of self-deception. When you fall in love with his potential, you are essentially dating a blueprint, and blueprints don't pay bills. They don't show up for you, and they certainly don't offer the steady, reliable presence that a real relationship requires. The most loving thing you can do for yourself is to acknowledge the man who is standing in front of you right now. Look at his actions, not his potential. Look at his consistency, not his apologies, because the man who could be is a fantasy. The man who is the reality you are living, and you deserve a relationship with a man who is present, not a ghost of who he might one day become. The investment trap, this is another often unconscious reason why we stay stuck in relationships that are not serving us. We fall into the investment trap. You've heard it before, perhaps spoken about in terms of money, but it applies just as devastatingly to relationships. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. You've put in so much time, so much energy, so much emotional capital into this person, into this idea of a relationship. You've invested your weekends, your evenings, your hope, your heart. And because you have invested so much, the thought of walking away feels like a complete loss. It feels like admitting all that investment was for nothing. So you stay, you think, I've already put in X months, years. If I leave now, all that time will have been wasted. I just need to hang on a little longer. Surely it will pay off soon. This is the brutal truth. The more you invest in a losing proposition, the more you guarantee your own bankruptcy. If you pour all your money into a stock that is plummeting, and instead of selling it, you pour more money in, hoping it will go back up, you are not being optimistic. You are being foolish. You are doubling down on a bad investment. In relationships, your emotional energy is your currency. When you are pouring that currency into a relationship that consistently drains you, that offers no return on your investment, you are becoming emotionally bankrupt. You stay because you've already invested. But what have you actually gained? More anxiety, more disappointment, more loneliness. The amount of time and effort you have already put into something is irrelevant to its future success. The only thing that matters is its current trajectory and its likelihood of providing you with what you need moving forward. If you are with someone who consistently makes you feel less than, who disrespects your boundaries, or who shows no consistent commitment, the fact that you've already invested is precisely the reason you must leave. Leaving is not a waste of time. It is a reclaiming of your future. It is choosing to stop investing in a failing venture and to start investing in yourself and in a reality that can actually provide you with the love and respect you deserve. Don't let the past dictate your future. Don't let the sunk cost keep you anchored to misery. Believe the patterns, not the apologies. This final piece of the potential trap is about how we get ourselves caught in cycles, particularly the devastating cycle of apologies, followed by more of the same behavior. If you have been in a relationship for any length of time, you have likely experienced a conflict arises. You are hurt, you express your pain, he apologizes, you feel a moment of relief, perhaps even hope, and you reconcile. Then a few weeks or months later, the same hurtful behavior repeats itself and the cycle begins again. You are living in a loop, and the loop is powered by apologies that are rarely accompanied by true change. This is the brutal truth. You must believe the patterns, not the apologies. Apologies are easy. Anyone can say, I'm sorry. They cost nothing. They require no real commitment, no real change. They are the cheapest form of relationship currency. Patterns, on the other hand, are data. They are the observable, consistent behaviors that tell you who someone truly is. If a man repeatedly fails to show up on time, if he repeatedly forgets important dates, if he repeatedly dismisses your feelings, those are not anomalies. Those are his operating instructions. His apologies are the fantasy. His patterns are the reality. When you choose to believe the apology over the pattern, you are essentially choosing the fantasy over the truth. You are choosing to be deceived because it is more comfortable than facing the painful reality of his consistent behavior. You need to become a scientist of his behavior. You need to observe without judgment, but with absolute clarity. Ask yourself, after he apologized for being late last time, has he been on time for anything since? After he promised to call more often, has the communication actually increased consistently? After he said he would be more supportive, has he demonstrated that support in actions? If the answer to these questions is consistently no, then his apologies are just a tool to get you to lower your guard, to get you to forgive him so you can be heard again. He is not changing, he is just getting better at apologizing. The greatest act of self-respect you can perform is to recognize that apologies are meaningless without evidence of change. And when you see a pattern of behavior that is consistently detrimental to your well-being, you must finally accept that the pattern is the truth. And when you accept that truth, you will finally be ready to walk away from the fantasy of potential and step into a reality where you are treated with the respect you deserve. Cool girl, lie suppressing needs kills intimacy. We have arrived at one of the most insidious lies in modern dating culture. It is a script that has been handed to you by movies, magazines, and maybe even your friends. It is the myth of the cool girl. You know her. She's the girl who, for anything, she never complains. She never asks, where is this going? She doesn't get upset when he cancels plans. She just says, no worries, catch you later. She is low maintenance. She is chill. She is easy. And deep down, she is absolutely miserable. You have been taught that if you have needs, you are difficult. You have been taught that if you express dissatisfaction, you are a nag. So you suppress it. You swallow your disappointment. You pretend that you don't care about things that actually matter deeply to you, all in the hopes that if you are easy enough, he will eventually choose you. Here is the brutal truth. There is no prize for being the woman who asks for the least. In fact, the cool girl rarely gets the commitment. She gets the situation.
Shit, why?
Because when you suppress your needs to keep the peace, you become invisible. You become a convenience, not a partner. Intimacy is born from friction. It is born from two separate people colliding and navigating their differences. When you flatten yourself into a one-dimensional, yes, woman, you remove all the friction. You remove the texture of your personality. You become a mirror that just reflects whatever he wants. And while men might say they want an easy life, psychologically, they do not fall in love with easy. They fall in love with standards. A man bonds with a woman when he has to put in effort to please her. When you ask for nothing, You deny him the opportunity to serve you. You deny him the chance to be a hero. By trying to be low maintenance, you are actually signaling that you are low value. If you are terrified that voicing a need will make him leave, let him leave. Because the alternative is staying in a relationship where the price of admission is your silence. And that is too high a price to pay. Vulnerability versus neediness now. Whenever I tell women to drop the cool girl act and speak up, the immediate fear is, I don't want to look needy. I don't want to look desperate. This is where we need to make a critical distinction. Most women confuse vulnerability with neediness. They think they are the same thing, but energetically, they are opposites. Neediness comes from a place of deficit. It is a demand. It says, I am empty and I need you to fill me up. I am anxious and I need you to fix it. Neediness feels like a grasping hand. It repels people because it feels like an obligation. Example of neediness, texting 5 times asking, why are you ignoring me? Do you hate me? Are you mad? Vulnerability, on the other hand, comes from a place of strength. It is an invitation. It says, this is who I am. This is what I feel. Take it or leave it. Vulnerability is exposing your heart without demanding that he protects it. It is simply stating your truth without trying to control his reaction. Example of vulnerability, saying, when I don't hear from you for days, I feel disconnected and that doesn't work for me. I enjoy consistency. Do you feel the difference? Neediness tries to control the outcome. Vulnerability just reveals the standard. The cool girl is actually the most needable because she is constantly manipulating her behavior to get a specific reaction. She is pretending not to care because she desperately needs him to stay. That is not strength, that is fear wearing a mask. True power is the ability to be vulnerable enough to say, I have needs. I need communication. I need quality time. I need clarity on where we stand. If you state a need and he calls you needy, that is gaslighting. That is him telling you that your comfort is an inconvenience to him. And that is data you need to have. Stop trying to be chill when you are actually chilled to the bone with anxiety. Speak your truth. If it scares him away, he was never strong enough to hold you in the first place. The cost of self-abandonment, we have talked about how the cool girl act hurts the relationship. But now we need to talk about what it does to you, because the damage here goes far deeper than just losing a boyfriend. This is the concept of self-abandonment. Every time you say it's fine when it's not fine, every time you agree to a last-minute hookup when you really wanted a proper date, every time you laugh off a disrespectful comment to avoid an argument, you are abandoning yourself. You are betraying your own inner child who is screaming for protection. Imagine you had a best friend who was constantly being ignored and mistreated by a guy. Imagine if you told her, be quiet, don't say anything, just smile and pretend you don't care. Or he might not like you. You would be a terrible friend. Yet, this is exactly what you are doing to yourself every single day. The cost of this self-abandonment is that eventually you lose touch with who you actually are. You spend so much time shape-shifting to fit into his life that you forget the shape of your own. You become a ghost in your own relationship. And the irony, the brutal, tragic irony, is that you do all of this to keep him, but eventually he leaves anyway. Why? Because you cannot connect with a ghost. If you delete your personality to please him, there is no you left for him to love. You simply cannot have a relationship with someone else until you have a relationship with yourself. And the first rule of a relationship with yourself is we do not abandon us. We speak up. We set boundaries. We risk the relationship to save ourselves. Because if you lose yourself to keep a man, you have truly lost everything. But if you lose a man to find yourself, you have won. Masculine and feminine polarity, why equality doesn't mean sameness. We need to have a conversation about energy. This is a topic that triggers a lot of modern women because we have fought so hard for equality in the workplace, in society, and in the home. And let me be clear, you should be equal. You are equal in value, equal in rights, and equal in intelligence. But here is the brutal truth regarding romantic chemistry. Equality does not mean sameness. In physics, if you take two magnets and try to push the North Pole against another North Pole, what happens? They repel each other, they push apart. For magnets to click together, to create that magnetic snap, you need opposing poles, north and south, plus and minus. This is the law of polarity. In relationships, we often call these opposing forces masculine and feminine energy. This is not about gender, it is about energy. Masculine energy is directional, protective, and decisive. It is the arrow. Feminine energy is receptive, creative, and fluid. It is the circle. The problem in many modern relationships is that women have become so good at being the arrow, at leading, planning, and achieving that they bring that energy into their romantic lives. And if you are bringing masculine energy to a man who's also residing in his masculine energy, you will clash. You will butt heads. You will feel like roommates or business partners, but the sexual spark will die. Or conversely, if you are constantly in your masculine energy, leading, driving, fixing, you will attract a man who rests in his feminine energy. He will be passive. He will let you make all the decisions. He will follow. And eventually, you will resent him for not stepping up. You cannot have it. both ways. You cannot be the one leading the dance and then complain that he isn't spinning you. If you want that deep, guttural feeling of being desired and taken care of, you have to understand that this feeling comes from polarity. It comes from the difference between you, not the similarity. You have to be willing to occupy a different energetic space than him to create the magnetism you crave. Stepping back into feminine power, I know who you are. You are high achieving. You are successful. You manage a team or a household or a business. You spend 12 hours a day in boss mode. You are used to making things happen. If you want something done right, you do it yourself, and then you come home and you are exhausted. You crave a partner who can handle you. You want to surrender. You want to take off the armor and just be. But here is the catch. You have forgotten how to take off the armor. We have been taught that feminine energy is weak. We think that surrender means losing. We think that receiving means being dependent. So we hold on to control like a life raft. But the brutal truth is that intimacy requires vulnerability, and control is the opposite of vulnerability. You cannot control a man and connect with him at the same time. When you are constantly in doing mode, planning the date, fixing his problems, directing the conversation, you are blocking the flow of intimacy. You are stuck in your head, strategizing. But feminine power is not in the head. It is in the body. It is in the heart. Stepping back into your feminine power means learning the art of receiving. And this is terrifying for many of you. Receiving means you have to stop doing. You have to stop earning love and just let it come to you. You have to lean back. Imagine you are dancing. If you are stiff, rigid, and trying to lead, your partner cannot dip you. He cannot move you. For the dance to be beautiful, you have to trust your core, but soften your edges. You have to trust that you are safe enough to let go. The most powerful thing a woman can do is to soften, not because she is weak, but because she is strong enough to not need the armor anymore. When you soften, you become magnetic. A man in his masculine power is drawn to that softness like a moth to a flame, because it is the one thing he cannot produce himself. He can produce money, he can produce safety, he can produce direction, but he cannot produce radiant feminine energy. Only you can do that. Letting him lead and letting him fail. So practically, how do we fix this? How do we re-establish this polarity? You have to do the hardest thing imaginable for a control freaks. And I say that with love. You have to let him lead and you have to let him fail. Many of you are backseat driving your relationships. You say you want him to plan the date, but when he suggests a place, you say, no, the traffic will be bad there. Let's go here instead. You say you want him to handle the household repairs, but when he doesn't do it on your timeline, you call the plumber yourself. You are training him that his leadership is unnecessary because you will just override it anyway. If you want him to take the wheel, you have to take your hands off it completely. This means if he plans a date and the restaurant is closed, you stand there outside the closed restaurant and you wait. You do not whip out your phone and find a backup. You look at him and you wait for him to solve it. This means if he gets lost driving, you let him be lost. You do not open ways. It's agonizing, I know. You want to save the moment. You want to be helpful, but when you save him from failure, you rob him of the opportunity to succeed. Leadership is a muscle. If you are always lifting the weights for him, he will atrophy. He needs to feel the weight of the responsibility. He needs to see you trusting him to figure it out. When he sees that you are not going to jump in and save him, a switch flips in the masculine brain. He realizes, I am responsible here. She is counting on me. That is when he steps up. That is when he engages. It requires immense trust on your part. But if you never give him the space to lead, you will never know if he is capable of it. Stop doing his job for him. Sit back, relax, and watch who he becomes when you finally give him the room to be a man. The truth about closure is a scam. The relationship ends. The silence sets in. And now the obsession begins. You find yourself replaying the final moments over and over. You construct imaginary conversations in your head. You draft long text messages that you may or may not send. You tell your friends, I just need to understand why. I just need closure. If we could have one last talk, then I could move on. I need you to listen to me very closely because this might save you years of agony. Closure is a scam. The idea that you need him to explain himself in order for you to heal is a lie. It is a lie your brain tells you to keep you attached to him. As long as you are seeking answers, you are still in the relationship. You are still engaging with his energy. Here is the brutal truth. You will never get the honest answer you want. If he was emotionally immature enough to treat you poorly, he is not going to suddenly develop the emotional maturity to give you a clear, honest, and introspective explanation of why he did it. He will give you a platitude. He will say, it's not you, it's me. He will say, I'm just confused. Or worse, he will gaslight you and blame you. and you will leave that conversation more confused and hurt than when you entered it. You are looking for logic in a place where only emotion exists. You are trying to find a rational reason for irrational behavior. You do not need his words to close the chapter. The disrespect was the closure, the fact that he walked away. That is your answer. The fact that he didn't fight for you, that is your answer. The fact that he left you crying and didn't look back, that is the loudest, clearest closure you will ever receive. Stop acting like a detective trying to solve a crime. The crime is solved. He checked out. Real closure is not something he gives you. It is something you give yourself. It is the moment you decide that knowing why doesn't matter anymore, because the result is the same either way. He is gone and you are still here. That is the only truth you need to accept. The power of indifference, once you accept that the relationship is over, the next trap is the desire to win the breakup. You want him to regret it. You want him to see you thriving and feel a pang of loss. You post the revenge photo on Instagram. You try to make him jealous, or conversely, you send him angry messages telling him how much he hurt you, hoping he will feel guilty. But here is a fundamental law of emotional physics. Hate is not the opposite of love. If you hate him, you are still obsessed with him. If you are angry, you are still investing high amounts of energy into him. Anger is passion. It is a burning connection. As long as you are angry, he still has control over your emotions. He is still living rent-free in your mind. The opposite of love is indifference. The ultimate victory is not making him regret leaving you. The ultimate victory is reaching a point where you genuinely do not care what he feels. Indifference is power. Indifference is silent. It is the moment you stop checking his social media, not because you are blocking him to make a point, but because you simply forgot to look. It is the moment his name comes up in conversation and your pulse doesn't speed up. It is the moment you realize you haven't thought about him in 3 days. This is what scares a man. Men are used to women reacting. They are used to being the center of your emotional world, whether you are kissing them or screaming at them. When you go silent, truly silent, it shakes them. When you disappear without a final dramatic speech, without a long letter, without a fight, you become a ghost, you become a mystery. You reclaim your energy. Every ounce of energy you spend trying to show him is energy you are stealing from your own future. Stop trying to prove to him what he lost. He knows what he lost. And if he doesn't, it's because he doesn't value it. Either way, it is no longer your job to teach him. Your only job now is to become so invested in your own life that his existence becomes a blurry background detail, irrelevant to your main storyline. Rebuilding your reality, when you finally stop seeking closure and you embrace indifference, you will hit a phase that feels very strange. It feels empty. You have spent so much time analyzing him, worrying about him, and managing the relationship that when that noise stops, the silence can be deafening. You might feel a void in your chest. Do not panic. This void is not an abyss. It is a canvas. This is the phase of rebuilding reality. For a long time, you have been wrapped up in why. You have defined yourself by your relationship status. Now, you have to remember who you were before he walked in. And more importantly, you have to decide who you want to be now that he is gone. This is the time to be selfish, aggressively selfish. Take the energy you used to spend decoding his mixed signals and put it into your body. Go to the gym, not for a revenge body, but to feel your own strength. Take the energy you used to spend waiting for his texts and put it into your career, your art, your friends. You have to physically reclaim your space, buy new sheets, rearrange the furniture. Go to the coffee shop you avoided because it was his spot and make it yours. The goal is to build a life so full, so rich, and so colorful that a man has to be truly extraordinary to be worth giving up your solitude for. The void feels scary because it is unknown. But the unknown is where magic happens. You are not alone. You are simply unburdened. You are free. And freedom, once you get used to the taste of it, is sweeter than any validation a man could ever give you. Closure isn't a conversation. Closure is the moment you realize you are going to be just fine without him. And that moment starts now. The high value woman, what high value actually means, we are reaching the end of our journey and we need to define the goal. You have likely heard the term high value woman thrown around on social media, in dating blogs, and by relationship coaches. Usually when the internet talks about a high value woman, they paint a very specific superficial picture. They show you a woman with a designer bag, perfect hair, maybe a high powered career, who demands expensive dates and acts untouchable. They equate value with expense. They equate value with attitude. I want you to delete that image from your mind. That is not value. That is marketing. Here's the brutal truth. High value has nothing to do with your net worth, your waistline, or how hard you play to get. A high value woman is simply a woman who has stopped negotiating her dignity. That's it. That is the definition. She is high value because the cost of access to her is high. And the cost is not money, the cost is respect. A low value mindset says, oh, I hope he likes me. I hope I'm enough. I'll change my plans. I'll lower my voice. I'll pretend to like his hobbies so he picks me. A high value mindset says, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And if you cannot serve that, you cannot sit at that table. It is a quiet internal certainty. You can be a high value woman while wearing sweatpants. You can be high value while being broke. You can be high value while being single, because value is self-determined. If you treat yourself like a discount item, always on sale, always available, willing to be picked up and put down, he will treat you like a bargain bin find. He might enjoy you, but he won't treasure you. But when you treat yourself like a rare artifact, something that requires care, protection, and specific conditions to be handled, he instinctively straightens up. He recognizes that you are not common. You have to stop looking for his validation to tell you that you are valuable. That is like a diamond asking a pawn shop owner how much it is worth. The pawn shop owner will always lowball you to get a better deal. You have to know your price before you walk in the door. The willingness to walk away now. How do you prove to him and to yourself that you are high value? You don't do it with words. You don't do it by demanding things. You do it with one specific power. It is the most dangerous and effective weapon in relationships, the willingness to walk away. In business negotiation, there is a rule: he who cares the least wins. If you walk into a car dealership and you absolutely need that specific car today, the salesman will rip you off. He smells your desperation. But if you're willing to walk out the door and go to the dealership down the street, suddenly the price drops. Suddenly, he is chasing you to the parking lot. In relationships, if you are terrified of losing him, you have zero power. You are a hostage. If you are afraid to be alone, you will accept crumbs. You will accept disrespect. You will accept breadcrumbing. Because in your mind, anything is better than nothing. The high-value woman is not afraid of the void. She has built a life she loves. She has friends, passions, and peace. She wants a partner, but she does not need one to survive. This gives her the ultimate leverage. When a man realizes that you are willing to leave him, not as a bluff, not as a threat, but as a genuine boundary, he feels a shift in the atmosphere. He realizes she isn't stuck with me. She is choosing me. And if I stop stepping up, she will choose herself instead. This is terrifying to a man, but it is also incredibly attractive. It signals that you are not dependent. It signals that you are a volunteer in this relationship, not a conscript. You must cultivate the abundance mindset. The scarcity mindset says, here's the only one. If I lose him, I will be alone forever. All the good ones are taken. The abundance mindset says, there are billions of people on this planet. I am a catch. If this man is not capable of meeting my needs, he is simply blocking the doorway for the man who can. You have to be willing to lose the relationship to save your self-respect. Because a relationship that requires you to sacrifice your dignity is not a relationship, it is a captivity, and you were born to be free. Becoming the prize, this brings us to the final shift, the shift that changes everything. For most of your dating life, you have likely been acting like an auditioner. You walk into a date or a relationship hoping to get the part. You are performing, you are trying to say the right lines, wear the right costume, and impress the casting director, sever him. You leave the date thinking, did he like me? Did I do okay? I want you to fire yourself from the role of auditioner. I want you to sit in the director's chair. You are the prize. When you realize you are the prize, the dynamic flips. You stop trying to prove you are good enough for him, and you start assessing if he is good enough for you. You stop asking, does he think I'm pretty? You start asking, is he kind? Is he consistent? Does he make me feel safe? Is he generous? You become the buyer, not the product. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is insecurity masking as pride. This is discernment. When you view yourself as the prize, you don't get upset when a man disappears or acts poorly. You don't think, what is wrong with me? You think, oh, what a shame he disqualified himself. Do you see the difference? It isn't a rejection of you. It is a failure of his application. A high value woman knows that her love, her body, her time, and her energy are gifts. They are limited resources. You do not give them to just anyone who knocks on the door. You give them to the person who has shown they can take care of them. Stop trying to convince him to choose you. Choose yourself so loudly, so ferociously that he has no choice but to recognize what he is dealing with. He is lucky to be in your presence. He is lucky to have your attention. And the moment he forgets that luck is the moment he loses the privilege of your time. You are not the backup plan. You are not the maybe. You are the destination. And it is time you started acting like it. The new chapter, integrating the brutal truths. We have been on a long journey together over this last hour. We walked through some dark rooms. We have shown a light on the corners of your heart that you perhaps didn't want anyone to see. We talked about the lie of unconditional love. We talked about how you have been mothering him instead of loving him. We faced the reality that you have been falling in love with potential, suppressing your needs to be the cool girl, and abandoning yourself just to keep someone who wasn't even holding on to you. I know this was heavy. I know that for some of you, listening to this might have felt like a physical blow. It might have brought up tears, regret, or a deep sense of shame. You might be sitting there thinking, I wasted so much time. I made so many mistakes. I want you to stop that thought right now. You did not make mistakes. You were acting on the map you were given. You were loving the only way you knew how. the way society taught you, the way your trauma programmed you. You were trying to survive. There is no shame in that. But the reason I had to be brutal with you, the reason I had to strip away the sugar coating, is because you cannot heal a wound by pretending it isn't there. You cannot fix a broken bone by putting a band-aid on it. You have to reset the bone, and resetting the bone hurts. It is uncomfortable, but it is the only way to ensure that you walk straight again. These truths, that respect comes before affection, that closure is a myth, that you must be willing to walk away. These are your medicine. They taste bitter going down, but they are the cure to the anxiety that has plagued you for years. You have spent so long trying to decode men, trying to hack the system, trying to find the magic words to make him stay. But the secret was never about him. It was always about you. The moment you accept these truths, you stop being a victim of your love life. You become the architect of it. You realize that the pain you felt wasn't bad luck. It was a signal. It was your soul screaming at you to stop settling for less than you are worth. So take a deep breath. Let the weight of the past drop off your shoulders. You are not that woman anymore. The woman who started this video an hour ago, she was confused. She was searching. But the woman listening to me right now, she knows the truth. And once you know the truth, you can never unknow it. You are awake now. The vision of your future now that we have cleared away the debris of the past, I want you to look forward. I want to paint a picture of what your life looks like when you actually apply these principles, because I promise you there is a life on the other side of this work that is more beautiful than anything you can currently imagine. Imagine a relationship where you do not have to check your phone every 5 minutes, not because you are forcing yourself not to, but because you simply aren't worried. You know he will call. And if he doesn't, you know you will be fine. Imagine sitting across from a man at dinner. He looks at you with genuine adoration, not because you are shrinking yourself to fit his needs, but because you are fully unapologetically yourself. You speak your mind. You state your desires. And instead of pulling away, he leans in, he respects you, he values your opinion, he treats you like a treasure, not a convenience. Imagine a Tuesday night where there is no drama, no high-low cycle, no adrenaline rush of anxiety, just peace. You are sitting on the couch reading a book and he is doing his own thing. The silence between you isn't heavy, it's comfortable. It is the silence of two people who are secure. This is what a healthy relationship feels like. It feels like safety. It feels like coming home. When you embody the high value mindset, you stop attracting the projects. You stop attracting the narcissists and the avoidance because they can smell that their tricks won't work on you. They take one look at your boundaries and they run because they know they cannot feed off your insecurity. And in their place, you start attracting men who are ready, men who want a partner, not a mother, men who are looking for an equal. But even more importantly, imagine the relationship you will have with yourself. Imagine waking up in the morning and trusting yourself, knowing that you will never again abandon yourself for a man, knowing that you are your own protector. The feeling of self-trust is the most intoxicating feeling in the world. It is better than any spark. It is the feeling of being invincible. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind of a man's mood. You are the tree, deeply rooted, strong, unshakable. This future is not a fantasy. It is your birthright. It is waiting for you. All you have to do is keep choosing it every single day. You have to choose the discomfort of growth over the comfort of suffering. Final call to action. We are at the end. You have listened to the brutal truth. You have seen the vision. Now, the choice is yours. You can click away from this video and go back to doing things the way you always have. You can go back to the text anxiety, the call girl act, the waiting and the hoping. That door is always open. It is familiar. Or you can decide that today is the day everything changes. You can decide that you are done being an option. You can decide that you are done loving potential. You can decide that you are ready to be the prize. This is not just a video. This is a movement of women who are waking up to their own worth. Women who are refusing to accept the crumbs anymore. If you are ready to make that commitment, not to me, but to yourself, I want you to do something physical to seal this pact. I want you to go down to the comments section right now and write 3 simple words. ICOSMEE, write it as a promise, write it as a declaration of independence. When you type those words, you are telling the universe and your own subconscious that the era of self-abandonment is over. Read the comments of the other women. Realize you are not alone. There is an army of us all learning, all growing, all stepping into our power together. And if you want to keep this transformation going, if you want to continue this education and keep your mind focused on the truth, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are building a sanctuary here, a place where we tell the truth about love, no matter how brutal it is. You have everything you need. You are stronger than you know. You are more valuable than you have ever been told. Go out there and honor yourself. Set the boundary, create the vacuum, walk away from what doesn't serve you. And remember, the only person you are guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with is you. Make sure you love her first. I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in the next video.